Okay, so now that you have your details, and I said to you that I would actually just show you how to apply some materials onto this, because those colors are just references. They are not mapped, they are not textures, and that's what creates a really realistic or a cartoony scene, is when you apply some materials or textures that we call. So in order to get to that part of the program, it's just that if you don't see over here, like you get the 4 balls over here, so you can just click on the toolbar and just move it. You get this guy. Here you can press into the 4 balls, which creates the material. Usually if you press onto the M key, whoops, it doesn't work in this one. Okay, so let's go back to this one. So here are the defaults, kind of like the presets. All of these ones are presets for the actual materials, but those are the actual 3D balls that you can actually use to put the materials and the textures. Very simple how it works for now. There's a lot of details we can use into this, but I'll show you how to apply them. So let's say that I'll select this ball. First of all, as we always use the workflow, this will be my table top, and I would say material. Okay, in this case, so here's one way you can do this. It's just that if you click and drag, because it's not a really popular scene, there's not much stuff, click and drag over the tabletop and let it go, and it all comes to be the same color as this guy. So that's one way to do it. The other way to do it, if you just Control Z to undo, what I much prefer to do is select the ball, do the material, then I'm going to go and apply assign material to selection. Click onto that. It will do the same thing, but also always activate the actual show standard map in viewport. Click onto this, and then I'll show you what is the material. So as simple as that, that's what it is. You get all those little features you can actually control onto them that I showed you also into the classroom, but that's for now. So that's what it is. So now how you're going to see that, that's the other part that we see into scene, is just that when you do this, we call this rendering. So you get those those 3 things, I mean, that you can see. You can use those, but what I use is very simple. It's just the F9 onto my keyboard, and what it does, it just renders out what it looks like as far as materials. So therefore, this one, it has no lights, so it's just doing the default kind of lighting onto this scene. So now the only thing is I wanted to show you that also is just that, well, what happens if I want to do, as you've seen before, is just that I want, let's say there's a wall, and you want this part of the wall to be a color and this part of the wall to be a different color, but you cannot do that because they're not separate object, and you don't want to create a separate object. So here's how you do it. You go into the edit poly, you open that and say polygons, and just select, I'm going to go and just select these guys over here, all of these, okay? And what we call is that these guys have a special ID. So if you scroll down all the way to the bottom, it said set ID. I'll say ID number 3. Just for the fun of it, just press enter. That is set ID number 3. Then I'm going to go in here. You can just select these guys. I'm just going to show you. I'm not going to select the middle one. Select these guys. They don't have an ID. I'll say ID number 4. Okay. So you see that these guys, we don't know what they are. Oh, it's ID number 2. Okay. So we'll keep it as that one. Now you take the ball over here, and you still got that. I just kept it, so it'll be really quick. In this case, I want to have multi sub maps or textures into one object. So this is what it is. I click on this, and then pops up all the different kind of basic materials you can apply. The one we're looking for is the multi sub object. Double click onto that, and it says discard old material. No, I'll keep it for now. Here's all, like you get these balls over here for materials is the same thing over here, but these ones are going to be specifically applied to this object. So as you recall, I had ID number 3 for one material, so I'm going to click onto that. I'm just going to choose a diffuse color, so just to make it different. So I'm going to create a green just to make sure that you can see that. Press OK, and then if I go right away and apply that, use that procedure workflow, apply, view in the viewport, Okay, so then you can see that turns to be green. So let's go back to this guy. So now I cannot have access to the material number 4, the material, the standard one. So if you go to the parents, it says, oh, it brings me back, going backwards in a sense, to the parents that says, okay, ID number 4, I'll choose this one, and I'll go to the diffuse. I'm going to choose a different kind of color. I'll make it really yellow, and press OK, and it's automatically done. But always do this. Assign a material, even though you see it, you get used to doing that. Apply the material into the selection, view in the viewport, because when you're going to have some higher materials, it will be useful to do that. Go back to the parents so that you can see that. So you remember when I said to you that, oh, this is ID number 2, okay? And now they don't see that. So if I'm going to go to material number 2, I'm going to choose a different color. I'm going to choose like maybe blue, so it should pop out. I'll press OK. So now if I go and click onto this, and I zoom in, as you can see, all the ID number 2 got that color. So apply, viewport, and that's what it is. So we'll go later on when we're going to have more advanced stuff being built. How do we apply and how do we modify these things even more than what you're seeing? So this is just a quick way to see how do you apply your materials onto your scene, onto your object. Okay,